want you to go out there and subscribe to Raze Chaos. Remember, when you do, it'll be super effective.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You've made it back to my channel, and yeah. I have got a nice little Invincible collection. Invincible collection. That's kind of that sounds kind of funny. I'm pretty sure these could be defeated. I don't have them in order, obviously, because it's like $14.99, 1500 and 1501. But who cares? This is basically, I've got Invincible, I've got Adam Eve, I've got Omni-Man. These are the Invincible pops that they have put out so far. And while I am looking forward to more, because as always, Raze always prefers the more obscure characters from the series, because yeah, they tend to be a little bit more interesting. These are some interesting guys. The Invincible book was actually created by Robert Kirkman, and if that name sounds familiar to you, that is because at the same time that Robert Kirkman was writing the Invincible comic series, way back in 2003, he was also working on another comic series that also became a TV series, and I'm talking about The Walking Dead. So yeah, Kirkman can basically be writing a horror comic one second and then a superhero comic the next. And what the heck am I hitting down here? But yeah, it's really cool, and I love the concepts that he brought to this. You've got Omni-Man, who is essentially a Superman clone, and it is also the only character that did not first appear in, or the only character that that appeared before the turn of the millennium. Omni-Man, sans the hyphen, actually appeared in a comic called Supreme, which was Alan Moore's version of Superman. And they were doing a story where they were showing all the different, it was just a take on how many different Superman copycats were going on at the time. And so that came out in 97. And while there was the look, but there was no personality to him. It wasn't actually the Omni-Man that came. It was just the concept, as the character makes his way into Invincible and becomes his own person. So yeah, I mean, Invincible actually did show up about a year earlier than the actual series showed up, but that was in the Savage Dragon comic, where there was a small preview to the upcoming Invincible book. So yeah, they did trickle out, and kudos for you if you caught the Omni-Man original appearance way back in 97. 97, that's how old this character is. Popping up in Supreme. One of the things I love about the... Whoa! Quit! Did you see him bite me? You bit me, didn't you? Yeah, I was ignoring you. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do now? Uh-huh. Okay, now, enough with Mr. Bitey. Right now we've got Invincible. This is Mark Grayson, which sorry, it just hit me in all the right spots when I first picked up this book and started reading it. I was like, oh, another Grayson. I hope he lives up to it. It could have been a hit or miss right there, but it actually was a complete miss. The combination of these characters. Yes, this is a Superman clone. This is, Adam Eve is, I mean, quite frankly, just another molecule-based superhero. They tend to pop up just about everywhere, but they're very underutilized, and they're usually given a reason as to why they can't go to their full potential. But I'll get into that. But Mark Grayson here is Invincible, and he is the perfect merger of a Spider-Man-like character with a Superman-like character, which is perfect. You really get a sense of both when you're reading these books. He's got the hectic of trying to go to class and also trying to be a superhero, much like Spider-Man would with his job and everything. And then you've also, on top of that, he's got immeasurable power. His power level is extremely, I mean, it's Superman level, almost Superman level. And he's got to deal with suddenly being that strong. Everybody thinks that would be a blessing, but just wake up in the morning and you can't touch anything all of a sudden, because as Superman put it in the Justice League animated series, you know, to paraphrase it, I mean, he basically suddenly woke up one day in a world made of cardboard. And yeah, I mean, it's the restraint of the power that he's got to learn. But at the same time, he's also got to learn to utilize this power in order to defeat his enemies. It's a weird little dynamic where you have to learn restraint and learn your limits at the same time. And I can imagine that would be very difficult. So... yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start popping these guys out and taking a look at them. First up, we've got Invincible. And here he is. This is a perfect little pose for him. The other Grayson, as I like to call him. Yeah, this is a really great look. I mean, I love the simplicity of his costume. I love the simplicity of this pop. I really love the fact that he is trying to live up to a legacy, at the very beginning anyway. Because when your dad is, I mean, when you start a legacy, you've got to follow the big guy. You've got to fit. Your dad is the most prominent, most powerful superhero in the world, and everybody looks up to him, and that's a heavy weight to bear. And then within a couple of issues, when Omni-Man reveals that he's actually there to conquer the world. And he does not want that to happen, because that's not what he was raised to believe. And yeah, rather than go with his dad, he fights his dad and fights his dad. I mean, they go hard. And yeah, then to suddenly be carrying the burden of your dad tried to take over the world, what kind of jerk are you? And it's like a weird little dynamic. So he's constantly juggling things. Superman never had that problem. Spider-Man has always had something. Something. He's considered a menace. He's like, you know, every time he does good, there's all the people that like want to oppose him at the same time. Where Superman is universally trusted, Spider-Man has to earn it every time. And that is the difference between the two, the major difference between the two flagship characters. And they are meshed perfectly with inside of Invincible. And yeah, he is definitely the worthy star of the book. I know they've made an animated series of it and everything, and I have watched it. All I could think about when I was watching the series, which it is pretty faithful. I will say that. Two things got to me though. One, the artwork in the book is so much better than the freaking animated series. It is like noticeably different. I mean, yeah, everything looks the same. But at the same time, animation is somewhat limited at times. It's limited by the creators. And another thing that kind of bugged me, and it's a trope that falls into a lot of animated series, when you're doing a superhero book, a superhero cartoon, it's really easy to get locked in to, you know, okay, well, this is what the superhero wears, this is what the bystanders, the the one-off people that you just get to meet for one time. It's really easy to design those. The problem ends up being that when Invincible goes back to being Mark Grayson, he changes back into the same clothes. And like in the comic, that's not the case. But in the animated series, yeah, they have a set look for it. The best example of this that really, it was another one that really stood out to me was the 90s Spider-Man animated series. Peter Parker always wore the same damn shirt. And it always stuck out to me because it was a dumb freaking shirt. But he was always wearing it. The white with the blue stripe across it. It's like, what the? Who wears that? But Spider-Man wore it through the duration, or Peter Parker wore it through the duration of the series. And yeah, that didn't get old. Not at all. But yeah, Invincible, the title, the guy that bears the title of the book, great character design, absolutely love it. Great hero. I mean, they've really let him go and grow and learn, and that's what you want to see your hero do, is grow. And that's the problem with some of the older characters, like Superman or Batman. It's kind of hard to teach them new tricks because they've kind of learned everything. And if your hero does not have something he has to overcome, then it's really it really ends up being boring. But next up, we're going to go with Adam Eve. We're going to take her out, and we are going to have a look at her. And yes, this is just another gorgeous pop. Adam Eve, I said I'd get back to this. Atom Eve has molecule-based powers. And that, while that is universally awesome, it's also a really hard thing to write. Yeah, she plays well on being the love interest for Invincible. But at the same time, like, one of the problems they run into this, like some other characters that they have that have the same kind of powers, like Molecule Man from Marvel. You've got Firestorm or Mr. 104 from DC. When you have the ability to rearrange molecules, you can essentially do anything, and you are unstoppable on a base level. If you can switch the atoms around your opponent's body and eliminate any oxygen there, boom, that's easy. They're done. So they always have to give, when they give a character like this, those kinds of powers, they always have to put a limitation on this. And in this case, she has mental blocks to keep her from being able to utilize her power at their full extent. That's part of the reason why Firestorm had the professor being just a consultant in the back, and giving him advice on what to switch, because if he himself had it, he couldn't change. Mr. 104 is a villain of the Doom Patrol, and he was pretty dang unstoppable. Along with Molecule Man from Marvel, he was one of the big villains. It was just like, you've got godlike powers, and you have to have something to tone it down, because essentially that kind of power is unstoppable. And that's what they did with her. They gave her mental blocks that she works for the government, the government-based super teams, and so when she couldn't control her powers at a young age, her family went to the government for help, and they helped her by putting these mental blocks on her. They always hint at finding a way to get rid of these mental blocks where she would be omnipotent. But because technically she would be able to take down Omni-Man, no problem. but that wasn't the case. Yeah, she is a great character. She's a great foil for Mark Grayson. Being the more experienced hero, she's constantly saying, "Hey, you know, your power level is huge. You should be able to do better." And she's always pushing him, and at the same time, she's always marveling at the hero he's turning into. So it makes her a pretty great love interest. And of course, it's not smooth sailing all the way through the book because, yeah, it's a book. You've got to have some kind of conflict constantly. But like, basically, they work really well together, which helps, in fact, with the big bad, which is Omni-Man. And yeah, I got this one. This one is the only one. I didn't buy this at the same time I bought those. This one is a GameStop exclusive. So he's got the blood splatter on him, which, you know, didn't really intend to go for that one, but not really mad about it either. Omni-Man works with the blood splatter on him no matter what, simply because he does go through and kill all the villains, or kill all the other superpowered beings on the planet, because that would be the only thing that could potentially be in opposition to his takeover, and having to fight Invincible proves to be the one that he can't stop. But we're going to go ahead and take this out, and we are going to have a look at him. I think I've mentioned before how much I love having the stands attached to the back on these when you get the flying characters, because neither Adam, Eve, or Omni-Man could actually stand on their own if it weren't for this stand on the back. And I really like that's how they do these. I am excited because I do love getting Image characters, because, you know, I do collect superheroes. Can't do the Marvel because of the bobbleheads. That's an old story if you've watched this channel for a while. But like, I do love collecting as many different characters as I possibly can, and this was a great one. This is a great Superman coming down with an agenda. It works very well if you you know, read the story and see how it's put together. I like it a lot better where he infiltrates as the hero. He, you know, even settles down, has a wife, and writes, instead of being a journalist like Superman is, he's just basically a novelist, which basically means his time is his own all the time. You know, especially if you can move at the speed of as he can. And as they reveal in the book, he's not so much making up stories as he's telling stories that he'd lived through. His lifespan being extremely long, as all of his kind are. He can make these. He was basically one of the best science fiction writers on the planet when he was going, and people loved his stuff, and it sold very well. What nobody knew reading it was that this was actually not even fiction. This was like actually what he had gone through, and what he had accomplished and done. So, yeah, that was a nice little reveal that they showed later. But yeah, with Superman being a journalist, he does have deadlines. He does have spots that he does have places he needs to be in order to perform his job properly. With Omni-Man, he's got deadlines for a publisher, and it's relatively easy when you can move that fast and you already know the story in your head. And it just really, it loosens him up. It explains why he's able to have the lifestyle he does, and at the same time have all the free time in the world to go save the world and eventually try and take over it. This character has actually gotten deeper with his failed attempt at taking over the world. I'm not sure. I don't want to get too far into it because I'm not quite sure. I watched the first season of Invincible, but I haven't watched the further seasons. I think there's like 2 right now, and a third one's getting ready to pop. But I think in that series they already show the reuniting of father and son. Maybe that's in the 2nd season. I'm not sure. Spoiler alerts for that season, but this is an old comic that I've already read, so it's kind of hard for me to keep it in. But the fact that they come to a mutual understanding, and while he has pretty much renounced his alien heritage, because, you know, he kind of leans towards family first eventually, he basically follows his son leads from that point on. And it also helped deepen the whole thing, because when he points out to Invincible that wait, you haven't been working out, you know, letting him know that his powers will increase, just like you or I. We would get stronger if we exercised, or so they tell us. Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on that one. But yeah, if in this case he's telling him you've got to work out in order to, you know, grow stronger, and that leaves Invincible with the problem of nothing gives me resistance. How the hell can I push myself when I don't get any resistance? So yeah, it's another nuance in the book that I really appreciate that they do. They've tackled this in other books. My favorite version of how they tackled such an issue in the Marvel universe, for example, when they point out that She-Hulk has to keep exercising in order to keep her figure, and she even makes that complaint that, you know, it's really hard for her to get, you know, to find the proper resistance that she needs because her power levels keep increasing. And then somebody points out, why don't you exercise as Jennifer Walters? And then when you change into She-Hulk, basically that form will have already been exercised and gotten the resistance it needed, and will increase in strength. And yeah, she got really powerful after that. But yeah, having the books, having the series is okay, but like again, it's one of those things where you're going to be waiting for seasons of this when it's already available in trade paperback form. And I will always implore, go and dig into the books, because I believe the series is finished now, so it's just like, yeah, just get in there, get the whole thing, just eat it up. Not quite sure how many books long it is, because I think it was well into 20 before Raze had finally like slowed down on it. Still haven't finished it, to be perfectly honest with you, but like you know, if you keep reading the same book for a long time, eventually you kind of want to taste for something different, and Raze just hasn't gone back to this. Looking forward to it, though. May actually glaze over the whole series over again before he buys another book of it. Again, I was already 20 books in, so there's a good possibility that that I've read most of it, if not close to the end. But yeah, this is the nice little Invincible set that I've got so far. Like I said, the Gamestop, the Omni-Man is the Gamestop exclusive, so he's got blood splatter on him, which is absolutely perfect. I know that they've got a blood splatter version of Invincible, but yeah, for the most part, I don't really feel that he needs it. Omni-Man doesn't need it, but I think it's a nice little detail to add, just to be a constant reminder that he isn't the hero everybody thinks he is. But but yes, I am very happy to expand my little superhero universe with these guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and never forget that life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be defined.